Welcome to the 775 Alive podcast, your rural Nevada headquarters for decoding politics, economics, and general global shenanigans. I'm Crystal Newton, your business strategist, breaking down why Nevada's hustle is stronger than a sagebrush root in a windstorm. Here with my trusty co-host, Scott Gaborski, PhD historian, here to explain the smart lessons of history, even if we are likely to ignore them. Grab your boots for a wild ride through today's most important news.
All right, Scott and I are down here in Las Vegas with Yadusha Jones. She is the chapter chair of Moms for Liberty down here in Clark County, which is way more important than it sounds because Nevada's a swing state. It's a hyper focus, and you're kind of leading the charge for education and making sure that our kids and our parents are protected and their rights are aligned with traditional American values. Is there anything that you want to start out this conversation with?
Well, saying hello to everybody. I'm the chair for Moms for Liberty in Clark County. We are the 5th largest district in the United States of America. So we are very much well known and very sought after because we do watch over 300,000 children. So we
Here in Clark County,
alone, just last year we had over 304,000 students. Unfortunately, this year it dropped by over 20,000 students.
Oh, wow.
Now, is that just across the public school district as a whole?
Yes.
So the question is, they might not be disappearing from Las Vegas, but they might have been transitioning to private schools or something that's outside of the school district.
A lot of them they're in charter schools, homeschool, private school. So they have not left the valley. They're just left Clark County School District.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they've gone somewhere, and that is probably a comment about how the school district is executing itself.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I this was a subject that I didn't think much about. Scott and I are from rural counties, and my county is 18,000 people, and we're 80% Republican. So to my mind, I'm like, there's no way there's fishy stuff going on in school. We would know about it.
Yeah.
And then I started doing some digging. Well, my first thing was your group offered to give all of our 8th graders, Elko County and Humboldt County, Constitution books for free. It was very nice.
Yes.
Thank you. But we're both struggling. I think I'm struggling a little more than Scott. We're struggling to find anyone in the school district that will allow us to distribute these.
Oh, wow.
It's almost a controversial book now, the Constitution.
Yeah. And the sad part, it is actually something that is required federally for every school district to teach on September 17th. They're required to teach 10% of the Constitution on September 17th. And unfortunately, many school districts do not.
I've never even heard of that.
See?
To show you.
This is that, it was in the 2004 Omnibus Spending Bill out of Congress, to celebrate Constitution Day. So, this is part of why we're doing, so up there in Elko, we're actually doing a Constitution event.
Awesome.
I managed to talk the Democratic and Independent American Party to join us on the Republican side for a public debate. And what we're going to be doing is actually drawing the questions from the high school students that have the U.S. history and government classes. But it's the same thing. It's a way to meet that mandated requirement, to teach something about the Constitution and have this educated content.
That's awesome. We're also doing something for Constitution out here as well. So we're going to be on September 17th doing a Constitution We the People Junior event. And we're actually going to have a special guest, one of the Supreme Court judges in Nevada, speaking to the children. And we're going to even have children reading the preamble. So it's for all families, all ages to come out and enjoy and to learn and have fun learning about the Constitution. And we welcome all the trustees and the superintendent because we want them. We want them to see what the kids are missing and what some kids already know.
All right.
Yeah, and the preamble is always a powerful thing to hear.
Oh, yes.
But when you hear it from a child,
Yes.
it
It's different.
So I imagine that might be a little uncomfortable for some school board members. Like,
Yeah. And this is an interesting thing, talking about this in terms of the rurals. Now, her and I have been talking quite a bit about this. Elko County actually, around the time of COVID, had a big blow up with the school board. And a lot of it had to do with closing the schools and masking and whatnot. And it got very tense there. We had most of our school board actually resign over that whole sequence of events. But what's interesting is, even though we're in a rural county, so Elko County's a little under 60,000 people right now. And now it is the youngest county in Nevada, and of course, Humboldt's the second youngest by median age of population under 18.
Yeah.
So we've maintained about 10,000 students in our public school system now for 35 years, which is really, really unusual to maintain that consistent level in a rural area. But more importantly, one of the things that's interesting, we're seeing that same bleed off. So we have 2 public charter
A
schools
lot of charter schools.
up in Elko County. One just opened in Nevada Classical Academy, Elko. We also have, a couple parochial schools as well. And that's one of the things we're seeing some of that bleed off. So if you just count the students buying a public school in Elko, it looks like we're constant. But if you add in all these other charter schools, we actually have a much more significant chunk of young children up there. But again, it's something we're seeing in Chicago. It's something we're seeing in Clark, the abandonment of these public school systems.
Yeah.
If you count in just the homeschool students alone in Clark County, that's probably over 30,000.
Mhm.
I know for a fact it's over 30,000.
All right.
Yeah.
And of course, we got a lot of homeschool, but part of that is ranches,
Yeah.
right? You can't
It's
get it in.
different out there versus out here. We're a city town, so it's not a lot of ranches like it used to be.
Mhm.
So it's a lot of people wonder, why do people still homeschool here?
Mhm.
And it's because people like us exist. There's problems in the school district that they're not willing to fix. They're not listening to the parents. They're not listening to the teachers.
All right.
So people like us have to come out and advocate for them.
Can you give us some examples of some of the stuff you're seeing down here in Clark?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's a laundry list.
I won't keep you all day. So, for example, there's a couple of teachers that have complained about having to require LGBT trainings so they can implement that into the curriculum. And they don't feel comfortable with doing that.
Mhm.
And then there's teachers that have complained about having to go inside the library to see all the LGBT and Black Lives Matter all throughout the library, having the kids say pronouns. There's teachers that's transitioning in the schools. There's teachers that just don't teach in the schools. They're talking about feelings more than facts.
Mhm.
And there's schools that actually have parties more than education.
Mhm.
It's so many issues and they're not addressing them when these, and what's the hardest thing is that, like I said, over 300,000 students, that's a lot of families. So when people have a problem, they're like, well, go to the school board and tell them your grievances. So let's go to the school board and sit there for 5 hours so you could get 3 minutes of talking time.
Right.
So they can ignore you and continue on.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's been a constant headache. Of course, most school boards are operating in Nevada under the open meeting law, which
Yeah.
is where the 3 minutes come in, and then how that's sort of divvied up over the course of the meetings. Another issue we had a bill last legislative session that was going to try to standardize that across the state. It didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And one of the big opponents, of course, was school boards. You didn't want to grant the same sort of commentary time that we might have for other governmental bodies under the open meeting law.
They definitely like to try to govern parents and be the parent.
Mhm.
And that's the biggest concern. And that's our motto. We do not co-parent with the government. And they definitely want to be the parent and tell us how to parent our children.
Mhm.
And it is really disturbing, especially when a lot of these people don't even have children.
Mhm.
So, for example, this last legislation, we fought like no other to stop Assembly Bill 416.
Mhm.
Assembly Bill 416, for people that don't know, was to keep pornographic books in the schools and to give parents Class E felonies, 4 years in prison if you disagree with the books. Very disturbing. Some of these books teach kids with pictures on how to slit your wrist successfully.
Mhm.
Why would you want a child to see that to eliminate their life?
Yeah,
That's very disturbing.
it is.
And they are saying, and some of these librarians in legislation said that the reason why we need these books because Black people don't understand who they are, and this is how they help identify with the LGBT community because they're ignorant.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you guys know me. I'm very productive, like results oriented person, and it's this stuff is all disturbing. And that statistic of we're losing people out of the school district to go to charter schools and because to your point that you go 5 hours
Yeah.
to say 3 minutes, and then they just go on and do what they're going to do. There's really nothing parents can do, even if they found something wrong. There's no way to get inside there and start changing the culture policy. But one thing that really caught my eye about Moms for Liberty is you guys have a legal instrument to actually go in and protect parents' rights, which is, I think, is amazing, because we can sit here and talk about all sorts of problems, not just children and parents' rights, but a lot of times we're just talking. But Moms for Liberty actually has a legal instrument, and you can download it off. Is it directly off the website?
There's so many different things. Which one?
Yeah. Well, and you can email us if you can't find it, but it's called an opt-out form.
Yeah. So with the opt-out forms, we're restructuring the software where people can get them online. But right now, they're little printouts. But we have
to become a member.
Yes. The biggest thing is to become a member, because you are informed monthly of these new initiatives to help you keep the rights of your child. Because
it's $40 a year.
It's $35.
I'm sorry, this is not meant to be an advertisement, but what I'm telling you is, like, we have an actual legal form.
Yeah.
For $40 a year, you can submit that, and if the school district doesn't respond, Moms for Liberty has your back, and will come in and follow up.
We follow up with everyone.
Yeah.
And with these opt-out forms, it's to give you a voice for those people that they don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
Like I've met people. Last year, I did a backpack drive, and we had over 300 people come out, and we had the opt-out forms there. We have new opt-out forms this year, but we had opt-out forms. We had all type of forms, and I was explaining to them some of the regulations in Nevada as a whole. And some of the kids there, they looked at different. So the parents was asking them, did this happen to you in school? Because 2 of the kids standing there were transitioning.
Yeah.
And the kids were like, yeah, my teacher helped me. And one of the ladies, she was so distraught, she ran away. And it was so sad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these parents don't know that their kids are transitioning because of the school district.
Yeah. Did you guys remember that news report where I forget what school district it was, but they paid for 2 kids and scheduled, paid for their abortions?
Yeah.
Right.
Parents didn't even know.
Right.
That gives me chills.
Right. And it gets into a whole range of other issues. So you got school districts and in some cases other governmental bodies wanting to stand in local parentis, right, in the place of parents. But then let's look at that case. I mean, one of the things that always bothered me about this is, so the school district initiates some sort of procedure on behalf of the child and their best benefit. Then there's complications following up. Who bears the liability?
Yeah.
Does the school bear the liability, or do the parents now have the financial and the legal responsibility to do follow-up care for a procedure they never authorized or knew about?
Yes.
It falls on
Yeah, and that's a huge legal hole that we haven't seen really exploded yet, but it's going to sooner or later. It has to.
Yes. What a lot of people don't know is the moment you enroll your child in a school, you're giving your rights to that school. And that's why you truly want them to focus on reading, writing, and arithmetic, because once they cross that line, everything they do from that point is now still your responsibility as a parent. So yes, if they send your child to abortion clinic, it's still your responsibility, because that child is going home with you.
Yeah.
Why should you have to endure that? It makes no sense.
I don't know, but we, to have a more foundational discussion, and we talk about what is liberty. In my mind, of course, it's a set of laws and a common culture, but in my mind, in order to have a free society, you really have to have a strong family unit.
Absolutely.
And the moment you start getting in between a parent and child, I feel like the ability for a culture to bear liberty really breaks down, almost like on an engineering level. It breaks people down enough to where the only thing they reach for when they need an answer is the government, because they tell you what to do. They know what's best for you.
Yeah.
And you don't ever get those connecting bonds with your community. So on a macro level, I love what Moms for Liberty is doing. And you guys have covered a lot of territory. Started in 2021.
Yes.
Already labeled a terrorist organization.
Yes. Apparently we're racist.
So that's the question, right?
Well, and I think this is interesting because
Nazis too, huh?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, well, join the club.
It is an interesting dynamic where this has been. And again, this is something that comes out of that COVID period, that any questioning of these authorities somehow gets sort of grouped into a potential threat, right? And I mean, how is Moms for Liberty dealing with that charge, which is so common, particularly back on the East Coast, that they are, seeking to overthrow the school system, seeking to overthrow the school board, so on and so forth. How would you respond to something like that, those charges?
We're joyful warriors.
That's
Yeah. The bigger question is, why are we in a place where protecting parents' rights is seen as an act of terrorism? That's probably like the most disturbing question to ask.
That it is very disturbing, and you have to think about why is it an issue, and it's because they want to govern everyone, and it starts with the children. And people didn't really see it until COVID, because now they're telling you put on masks, teach your kid this way, teach your kid that way. I got so many phone calls during COVID on was I sure that I wanted to homeschool my kids, because I pulled my kids out of school. I'm not putting my child on a laptop for 8 hours we don't even watch TV for 8 hours.
Right.
So to sit there and watch a person just talk and other kids just fiddle their thumbs for 8 hours is asinine. Absolutely not.
I've only had one interaction with one of your kids. You have 4, right?
Yes.
4 that you homeschool.
Yes.
And she's homeschooling while she's talking to me on the phone. She's amazing. But I just had a brief interaction with your eldest. I won't say her name, but she very confident young woman.
Yes.
Like more confident than me. So I'm like, whatever you're doing with her. She invited herself to our meeting.
Yeah.
I was like, let's have a meeting. And she's like, I'm coming. I'm like, well, who is she?
But I was literally taking her to work, and she was like, I'm coming, reschedule. And I'm like, it's a ripple effect for me. I do this because of them. I don't do this because, I'm just bored. Oh, trust me, I have so many other things to do.
Right.
I have so many other things to do. And be it as it may, I'm actually an introvert. I prefer just sitting at home watching Matlock.
Mm-hmm.
And I Murder, She Wrote. She's thebomb.com. But I do this because I noticed that my kids, they didn't have a lot of friends that understood their behavior. And it was very weird. And I'm like, they're just being children. And I noticed that these kids were very, what's the word I'm looking for? To themselves. They were in their bubble. They were they couldn't even say proper sentences right. And it was very disturbing. Like all they would talk about is video games. They'll talk about a movie they've seen or a shirt. But when you start talking about, like, my kids will talk about the Constitution, the Bible, they will go that route. They're actually.
What's your favorite amendment? It's like, what?
Like my 8-year-old, she was like, so when you read John 14:6, how did you feel? This is the 8-year-old.
Oh.
And so when I'm out there and I'm talking to politicians, I take my kids because I don't want them to think like me. I want them to know for themselves and see for themselves. So it wasn't just, oh, we're just around independents and Republicans. No, they've been around Democrats. We've been to Obama rallies. We've been to Harris rallies, Trump rallies. They've seen it all. They made their choice just like I made my choice.
And that's actually a good thing to embrace. Can I ask something that's just out of curiosity? So I spent about 10 years here teaching at the college level. And of course, one of the big things that's come up over the last 15 years or so has been the increased use of dual enrollment to give students a leg up. So we have high school students enrolling in college classes.
Right.
And a lot of cases, because of where the curriculum
You went on a
overlaps.
rant about this last night.
I did. I'm going to get on a rant again.
I know where you're
No,
going
well,
with
no, I was going on something. But no, this was a real problem we faced because we're getting 15-year-old kids into college classes that are in many cases designed for 18, 20, 22-year-olds, where we're talking stuff like one of my examples is a lot of times I taught the first half of U.S. history. So a lot of discussion about the tragic history of slavery, which dealt with a lot of the violence, the brutality, the sexual exploitation that went in within the slave system, because that's something you really need to understand about why it was so evil and how the history played out. But there was sort of real questions from across the board. And it wasn't just parents, it wasn't just students, but, you got 15-year-olds in your class. You can't be talking about this stuff. Right. So you have this weird thing where students are voluntarily being placed, and it's not the students, again, it's school districts and whatnot, pushing them into these things. And then they want to come in and modify college classes to meet a 15-year-old that we probably they're welcome if they're mature enough to deal with it,
Right.
right? But the idea is, well, you should be structuring it. The 15-year-old's the baseline, and the adult stuff you just leave out. People get it somewhere. Have you thought about that from the Moms of Liberty perspective? How do you bridge that gap?
And actually, this was prompted by some of the information you sent, particularly Lowry High School in my county.
Mm-hmm.
What you were sharing with me was they're underperforming by 25-30%
Yeah.
compared to the state, but somehow they have one of the top graduation rates. And I
Yes.
think that lends to what you're talking about is the standards have lowered so far
Right.
that they're even
Yeah.
trying to dilute the college
Classes.
classes to help.
And it's unfortunate because they're constantly pushing these kids into these college courses, and it's minimizing what they're truly understanding.
Mhm.
So you're actually dropping the course to where is appeasable for a 15-year-old, and now a 20-year-old can just bypass. And then when you ask this 20-year-old, what's the color of the flag of the United States of America? We have a flag?
Yeah.
Like, come on now.
Yeah.
They don't know. So it's my whole thing is really based off of if they're ready.
Mhm.
So as a 15-year-old going into dual citizenship classes, I'm not asking you, hey, you need to fix your classes to accommodate this child. No, that child needs to be ready to accommodate these classes. And if they're not ready, go back to where you came from
Yeah.
and come back when you're ready.
You're right. Yeah.
Well, and I'm going back to, I had no idea just how dysfunctional the school system had come to be.
Yeah.
And to further that story of that U.S. history class, a bunch of kids from Lowry High School had enrolled in that, and it was very apparent to the teacher grading it that they were all working together to complete the assignments.
Yeah.
So it was like,
Because they don't
did they
know.
even learn it? They're just sitting in a class in a remote learning thing, and they're like, "What's the answer?" Okay, they're all pressed the same answer at the same
That's
time. It's like,
literally what they do.
what's the education?
No.
Right.
But and even if they don't know the answer, so let's say that they have to do a test, because I've seen this. I was one of those parents that I was in the school every day. If the child don't know it, they will give them the answer. That's the wrong answer. This is the answer during the test.
Yeah.
And they like do better next time, but they'll let them slide on through.
Mhm.
And these kids do not know. Do you know how many students that are in high school? They go all the way from 8th grade all the way to 12th grade, excited. Their parents buy all this stuff for graduation, and they do not have the credits to graduate. And then when you ask this student how many credits you have, their response is, "What is a credit?"
Mhm. Right.
Yeah, like the problem is, and not only that the parents aren't parenting, it's that the schools aren't educating these kids early on. This is what you need to graduate.
Mhm.
And they're not following up with them every year like the counselors used to do. These counselors that they have now these days, they bring these students in. How are you feeling today? Do you need a Xanax?
Mhm.
Those are the counselors we have now.
Do you think it's also that school districts it's not only that they're not instructing the students about the requirements going forward, but there's also seems to be a lack of willingness to share with the parents what the requirements are going forward?
They don't. There's 2 curriculums.
Right.
So in the state of Nevada, we have a regulation, it's spacing me right now. But it's a couple of regulations I'm going to spill off. I encourage everybody to look up Regulation 6161, Regulation 5138. In these regulations, they have sealed library books and sealed curriculum. So for example, when you go into the school at the beginning of the school year, they're going to tell you what they're going to teach your child. You're going to get the little packet that you sign and say, hey, we're going to ensure that your child learns XYZ. But on the back end, they have a whole nother curriculum that they're teaching your child that you do not have disclosure to.
Right. And that's one of the more problematic things I always found was that, and public schools should be a community resource. And at least in my opinion, I think public schools, there's a role for them. Right.
Yes.
But the idea that somehow they operate as a black box, that there's no accountability to other agencies in government, there's no accountability to parents, there's no accountability to the community at large, is deeply problematic for any government agency,
Yes.
but particularly in this case.
Yeah, and the problem is that in states, I don't care how many counties you have, you should be working as a unit, being that you go by the same laws.
Mhm.
So in those counties, you all should be talking to each other.
Right.
And the problem is they do not. So we have so many regulations that are not rippled over into other counties, and these kids are learning so many different ways. Like, for example, in Clark County, we are 51st in the United States of America, but we have the fifth largest district. How can that be?
All right.
That's disgusting and disturbing.
Mhm.
And with Regulation 5138, by the grace of God, you guys don't have to deal with that.
Mhm.
That's the one where they have sealed libraries.
Mhm.
You guys can see what's in your children's libraries. We cannot.
Mhm.
Why do we have a rule where there's sealed libraries?
Right.
Well, I can
And-
tell you what's not in the library, Constitution book.
Right, but there's pornographic books.
Right.
There's books that tell you how little Johnny gave fellatio to the real estate agent.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then it's so there was a bill that they tried to pass this last election to give immunity to librarians.
Mhm.
Why do librarians need immunity if there's nothing wrong with the libraries?
Right.
Why would they need immunity?
All right.
Well, I'm just now getting, you've been in this fight for a while. I'm just now starting to understand how troubling it is. But I think there's a huge silver lining for the state of Nevada that it's terrible that we have an issue this bad, but I think with your legal form, Moms for Liberty, the opt-out form.
Yes.
And I want to talk a little bit about your plans for the entire state of Nevada here. But at 775 Alive podcast, one of our central focuses is on rebalancing the Nevada legislature. The biggest problem is it's almost supermajority Democrat, and mostly that comes from Clark County voters.
Yes.
So what we're hoping, the only way we can rebalance this legislature is to get some center voters and some Democratic voters to vote Republican, right? And I'm like,
Yes.
How do we do this? And we talk about this at Republican meetings all the time. How do we do this? And there's like, we can do walks, we can do community engagement, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, it's gonna move the needle like this much. But if we can get into every county in the state of Nevada and expose the school districts, I think
Yeah.
Democrats will come over in hordes.
I think it's all about action and showing people what's actually out there.
Yeah.
Because the problem is people don't know. Now these days people are so in their bubble, and then when COVID happened, the bubble sealed up.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we have to take those layers off.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been focused on, removing the layers of the bubble to wake people up. And it's been working.
Yeah.
Teachers have been coming out. Admin have been coming out. Parents have been coming out. Even the students come and ask me questions. I don't know these people, but they know me.
Well, the Democratic narrative is hard to defeat because it's so nice. Everything
Yeah.
sounds nice. The government's going to take care of all your needs. No one will ever get hurt.
Anything is
again.
nice when
Everyone's
you
gonna
add a lollipop with
Well,
it.
exactly. And so, like, the only way to really do, you have to kind of shatter that narrative enough to where they're like, okay, what other insidious things come with these nice promises?
Yeah.
Because it is. It's like for every positive, there's a negative in this world.
Yeah.
Newtonian physics. Like, you can't have all lollipops
Yeah.
and no protein in vegetables.
So the biggest thing for us is how we keep moving forward and exposing not just the truth, but getting the right people in office clear across the board is by working with Moms for Liberty. Because like you said, I do have a plan. And in order for me to effectively push that plan and have 2026, 2027 be the biggest red outcome in history is for people to actually get on board, become a voting member of Moms for Liberty, because that $35 a year, it helps so much. Donations help so much because that money goes towards printing paper, our legal team. We need boots on the ground. I'm out there talking to people all the time, and I'm sending people out there. Like, we're going to be going super north. We're going to be opening up chapters clear across Nevada. My goal is for Nevada to be the Western hub of what a state should look like and what Moms for Liberty is going to represent nationwide.
And I think it's a lot bigger deal than you guys give yourself credit for, because Nevada is a swing state, one of
Yeah.
the few that are left. And if we can set an example here, we might be able to set a precedent for other states to follow.
Absolutely.
Because all you need is one example.
We're just getting started.
Yeah. And so
We're just getting started.
I know you have intricate publicity release on what you're doing in the state of Nevada. Is there anything you can share about what you're doing outside of Clark County yet?
So there's we have the
We're calling in the tanks, the F-16s,
Right.
flying over.
So we are definitely focused on every area, every demographic, because we, like I said, we need to work as a unit, as a team, and that we have to treat every county the way that God told Jesus to treat it. So that's how I've been treating it. I'm like, everything that I do, I'm literally reading the Bible and I'm literally duplicating it.
Mhm.
And so when God sent Jesus out here, He said, let's find people in every area, the best person of the best. Use those people. Nobody's going to know who they are. People are going to think very little of them, but use them
Mhm.
and let them shine. And we're going to make sure that everybody is protected.
I love that.
So we're moving in strolls. So when we get back to the base, as Jesus did, they're going to have every single United States Nevada flag known to man waiting for us.
I love that. I can tell you the one thing that that's going to watch this is going to be screaming, wondering is what are we going to do with Washoe? Because outside of Clark County, Washoe's the other stronghold where we suspect some crazy things are going on. Do you have any plans for Washoe?
Oh, Washoe is my new best friend. When it comes to the trustees in every county, all 17, because yes, I know all the superintendents. I know all the trustees. You may not know me, but I know you. And my thing is I want everybody to be able to parent the way they want to parent, whether I disagree with you or agree with you. That's the point. Parent the way you want to parent, but do not dare try to force me to parent the way you want me to parent. And that's the problem. You're telling me you want me to parent the way you want me to parent. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So for that reason, a lot of you will be losing your seat this election. A lot of you will be losing your seat next election. And for the superintendents that have a problem with it, you're fired.
Yeah, that's one of the most impressive things about you. You're very clear and concise about your points, and that's wonderful. But the thing I keep going back to is you're able, like, she'll send me text messages about every board, literally in every county, and I'm like, how do you know all this? Which is amazing, but it does show your dedication. Like, you are committed to carrying this out and doing it correctly, and make sure that we're just protecting parents' rights and making sure that we're going after the right things in the right way.
These kids need to grow up to be children. Little Jessica should not be training to turn into little Johnny and vice versa. They shouldn't be taking these kids, telling them you don't need breast, and having them turn into cats and stuff. Like, it's just ridiculous.
I remember the letterbox story.
Oh my God. I'm like, so it's just, I want people that is going to be able to let parents parent the way they want to. If there's an issue with how somebody parent, that's when you call in the police. You call in Child Protective Service and you let them handle that like they used to back in the day. We've never had an issue. Now they're saying, hey, we're going to do it all. No, you can't do it all. You cannot parent. You cannot be the police. It's too many hidden things. Like, there's a school out here that goes to Vegas Golden Knight games every year on a party bus with school tax dollars, and they get wasted. Why?
Yeah.
Why is our tax dollars sending you on a party bus to get toasted? Well, why?
Yeah.
What are kids learning from that?
Well, this is, of course, Richard Vedder, who's been arguing about a lot of stuff in public education for years. But he made a point one time that, one of the problems he saw with American public education now is that it seems to devote itself to solving all a child's problems except that of ignorance. Yeah. That's the one thing they won't touch, right? And it's a really disturbing sort of view.
Yeah. Well, and the intentions are, there's only so many intentions between trying to get between a parent and a child.
Yes.
And none of them are good. And it's like top 3 things of things you do when you want to break down a society and re-engineer it. And so, I mean, like, that's the only reason you do this. So that's the other thing is, like, not only is the act itself disturbing, but the intention behind the act is even more disturbing.
When you try to normalize mental illnesses, that is very concerning. And you're trying to implement it in children year after year after year. And they're saying that you're wrong for not accepting the mental illness. And so for one of the things we do out here is Fact Friday. every Friday we put out a fact, and it's called fact because it's a fact. It's not a feeling.
For those of you that remember facts.
Right. It's not how we feel. It is actually a fact. So we put these out every Friday, and somebody shared one of our facts, and it came back to me of the comments that was in it. And these people, these parents was like, that's not true. They're not doing that. And the teachers was like, that is absolutely what they're doing, because it was about the LGBT they have to take the training for. And the parents was like, teachers aren't being taught that, and they're not forcing it on the students. And the teachers are like, yes, they are.
Yeah.
We have to take those trainings. And the parents are like, no, they're not. And what's wrong with being inclusive? That's not inclusive. That's indoctrination. And the fact that you don't know that, we need to call CPS on you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, the fact that you think it's okay to teach a kindergarten child that their genitals are completely different and you could chop them off, or you could turn from Johnny to a goat, that's the problem.
All right.
So, knock, knock, knock. People are, like, it's just like,
Well, who wants to go to school board meeting, like you said?
Exactly. Nobody has time to sit there for 4 to 5 hours just to speak for 30 minutes. And they're like, what's wrong if a child wants to transition from a boy to a girl or a girl to a boy? Okay, so if I want to now identify as an Asian man, what's wrong with that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I want to be a Jewish Asian man,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to identify as a soldier too.
Mhm.
So can I now get free taxes?
Right.
Like, anybody can identify as anything. You can't put limits on it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna walk out of here and identify as the superintendent, and I'm gonna fire everybody that I want.
Mhm.
I identify as the superintendent since you want to identify as a trans. Make it make sense.
I don't mean to make light of it, but I made a joke about this the other day. I was like, if I identify as a 20-year-old woman, will somebody pay for my cosmetic surgery?
Yeah.
Like, people would absolutely get insulted if you was to walk in and say, I identify as a Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, he is a Black woman. I mean, she is a Black woman. Look at her.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Like, that's what she identifies as.
Mhm.
Aren't you,
Yeah.
Harriet?
Yeah. I don't know if I don't want to claim the Harriet thing, but yeah.
Like the episode's about over, right?
No. But I do guess in talking about it, I guess there's some news on the front with the rurals in your organization, right? Am I correcting that? Opening up some chapters out in the
Oh
rural
yes.
communities?
So our ultimate goal is to open up chapters, and I expect at least 7 chapters to open by the end of the year.
Mm.
So every county, get ready, because Moms for Liberty is coming to protect all kids, and we're duplicating everything that's happening in Clark County.
Cool.
So superintendents that's not doing your job, we're firing you. Trustees that's not doing your job, we're sending you off on the boat too. And it's just so many people. So I'm not going to give out those counties yet, but we are on our way, and you will see soon.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're coming in droves. So we're silent, but we're mighty, and we're coming loud.
Yeah, this is going to be something I think that's really going to see some ethical changes here over the next decade or so,
Yes.
as a lot of this stuff gets worked out.
And just as the school year is starting.
Yeah,
Yes.
right there to the
Fine.
floor. So,
This is a Christmas present to all of you. An early Christmas present.
Well, and again, the parent-child relationship is absolutely crucial to liberty and having freedom in this country. But also on a more micro level, we're heading into midterms, and we're making a concerted push to try to win over the Nevada legislature. And I think Moms for Liberty, if you guys can kick up enough dust in enough places, we can actually start to see some Democratic voters voting Republican and maybe help. Because ultimately, we need to rebalance that legislature.
Oh, absolutely. We in Clark County, we already have some out here, independent Democrats that do vote the other way because they do see the change
Mhm.
and they do understand the difference. When you are, it's not about being conservative alone. It's about being God fearing. So when you follow Christ, it's just common sense because it's Him first. then it's conservatism.
Mhm.
So when you have those two components and you take everything else out of it, let us stop tagging on the LGBT, stop tagging on the identity politics, stop tagging on the feminism and the sheroism and the hear me roar.
Mhm.
Pay attention to why we were created.
Yeah.
So for anybody that wants to think that you're superior than anybody else, God's going to show you.
Yeah. And I mean, I doubt there'll be many of our listeners who are not God fearing, and that does resonate. But for people who are not, I'd say that it's important to recognize that you have to believe in something bigger than yourself
Yes.
to be healthy. And one of my biggest issues with this whole gender ideology movement is it centers you.
Yeah.
And anytime you center yourself and live a selfish life, you're going to have problems. Society's going to have problems. So maybe you're one of those people that doesn't believe in God and a creator. You have to believe in something higher than yourself, because this whole self-focus thing, it's going to generate rot in society
Yes.
and in your own life. And if you're one of these people that centers yourself and you have your pronouns and you're nice to everybody and you do all the right things, but you're still suffering from anxiety and depression and
Yeah.
you don't have the friends you want or the life you want, start to think it might be your selfish life.
These days, most people label themselves. So they'd be like, well, I have anxiety. Like, from what doctor? The doctor in their closet or in their head. But just to go back to people that don't necessarily fully believe in a higher power, or they've never been inside of a church, but they do believe in God and they don't read the Bible, I want you to look at one scripture and it will open every door for you. Look up Romans chapter 1, verse 20. If you look that up, that's going to explain everything. It doesn't matter when you open the Bible. It doesn't matter if you're 2 years old or 200 years old. There's never any excuse to say, well, I did not know. Because I didn't grow up with the Bible at all. It was my choice to pick it up.
I'm the same.
I'm like, I just wanted to know, like, what's actually in here? I knew what the Bible was. And I just didn't fully understand it.
Mhm.
And then when I knew that this is just the basic instructions before leaving the earth, how hard is it just to look at the basic instructions?
Right.
And when you look up Romans 1, verse 20, even though I didn't know back then, it makes no excuse. So do better.
Yeah.
No excuses.
Yeah. And you could say that in general about our citizenship's relationship with the government.
Absolutely.
We've been lazy, honestly.
No excuses.
We really need to take ownership of our country and watch what the government's doing, not just in school districts, but in all areas.
Across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's more fun to go to the beach, but freedom's worth fighting for.
Yeah, civic engagement is key. By the way, we do want to show a quick shout out. Of course, you might notice we're not in our normal studio space.
That's right.
Right. So we want to say thank you to the Nevada Republican Club, their new innovation space down here in Vegas. Crystal and I have been in on a series of meetings. We talked about this a little bit more. We're going to be doing some presentations over the next couple of weeks down here on various issues. So Pauline Lee and her staff here at the Nevada Republican Club, thank you for letting us drop in and do the interview. And thank you very much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Yadusha Jones, absolutely incredible work you're doing. It's such an honor to know you and you, Scott. I'm absolutely honored to be your co-host partner and friend. But both of you are incredible. Thank you so much.
Yeah. It's amazing to be here, and I'm so glad you reached out. And I look forward to working with both of you. Your podcast is amazing, and I share it with people because I'm like, you talk about some very interesting stuff that I did not know.
Okay.
A lot of city people don't really have the right, like nobody's ever talked to a rural person. I'm like, well, we're not backwards riding horse and buggy places.
Yeah, what's really funny about it is when I sent it to my husband, he was like, yeah, this is stuff I'm talking about. I'm like, that's why I told you it's going to be interesting because the stuff you guys talk about, he talks about.
Okay.
Good.
So he finds you guys very interesting.
So if you want to get hold of Moms for Liberty here, there's a website now, right?
Yes. It is momsforlibertynv.org.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's FOR, moms, FOR, libertynv.org.
Cool. And we'll have a link up on our website. If you have questions for us or something we can pass on, go ahead and shoot us an email at info@77alive.com. Until then, I'm Scott Gaborski.
I'm Crystal Newton.
And we'll see you around the 775.